Hello. If you were to walk through the ruins of a frontline town in the Donetsk region right now, you would notice something strange on the ground. You'd step over the rubble, the artillery craters, the burned out armor, but you'd also feel something catching on your boots. Thin, nearly invisible threads of glass. They're draped over the street sign. They're tangled in the dead branches of the trees. They spool through the blown out windows of residential basements. To the naked eye, the entire battlefield looks like it's been swallowed by a massive, glowing spiderweb. Millions of miles of ultra-thin cable left behind in the mud. It looks like science fiction, but it's not. Those glass threads are the umbilical cords of the modern kamikaze drone. For the last 100 years, war has basically looked the same. You take a piece of land by putting boots on the ground and covering them with artillery. But the war in Ukraine changed the meta forever. We watch warfare shift in real time, from infantry assaults to algorithmic drone swarms. First-person view, or FPV drones, completely rewrote the rules of engagement. Suddenly, a $400 piece of plastic strapped with artillery can hunt down and destroy a $4 million battle tank. You just didn't have a sniper on a roof. Now you had someone with a VR headset sitting in a basement 5 miles away. But here's the problem with wireless tech in the war zone. When you rely on radio frequencies to fly your drones, the enemy is going to adapt. Over the last couple of years, the front lines became the most heavily jammed airspace on the planet. Both sides deployed massive electronic warfare systems. They put signal jammers in the trenches. They bolted massive frequency blockers to the tops of their tanks. The airwaves became completely toxic. Drones were dropping out of the sky by the thousands. Enter the FOG-D, the Fiber-Optic Guided Drone. It sounds primitive, right, this day and age? Flying a drone on a literal leash. But when you look at the technical specs, this is an absolute nightmare weapon. Here's how it works. You take a standard carbon fiber quadcopter, but instead of an antenna, you mount a specialized ultralight spool of fiber optic cable to the frame. As the drone flies forward, the spool unwinds, leaving a continuous trail of glass thread all the way back to the pilot's controller. They're flying out with miles of physical cable. Why go through all the trouble though? 2 reasons: absolute stealth and terrifying precision. Because the drone isn't broadcasting a radio signal, it's completely invisible to electronic warfare. A tank's jammer does absolutely nothing to a fiber optic cable. The RF sniffers can't detect the pilot. To a radar system, this drone is a ghost. But the scariest part is the camera feed. If you've seen old FPV drone footage, it usually gets super static heavy right before it hits the target. That's because the radio signal gets blocked by trees and buildings. Not with fiber optics. The pilot gets a flawless, high-quality video feed with 0 latency. With a strong video feed, a pilot can fly the drone through the front door of a basement, navigate down a hallway, take 2 left turns, and detonate inside the sleeping quarters. And these drones, they're using less battery because they don't have to constantly broadcast the radio signals. They can fly a drone out to a crossroads, land it in tall grass, and just leave it idling connected to the fiber optic wire for hours. It's a perfect ambush trap. When the target finally rolls by, They spin the rotors up and strike perfectly from feet away. And for a long-range system, they're cheap. They're immune to jammers and they're deadly. But they aren't perfect. The technology is incredibly fragile. The pilots have to be meticulous about their flight paths. If they fly too fast, around a sharp concrete corner, they could break the fiber optic cable. If they lay the wire across a busy supply road, a friendly truck could drive over it, and the glass snaps. Once the cable is cut, the drone is dead in the air. With both sides launching hundreds of these every single day, the towns and forests are becoming physically stitched together. We spent the last century cutting the cord to make our technology faster, completely convinced that the future was wireless. But when the sky became a dead zone, the only way to keep the hounds hunting in modern war was to put them on a leash. Stay safe and stay salty.